My name is Ellen Fries, and I want to share my educational story with you. I began my educational experience much as many students do, except I began at a private school. I was not exactly privileged, if that's what's coming to mind. Just as students who go to public school and deal with the situations that arise in their education from the experience of public school, I dealt with the experiences that I had that differed from most children. I struggled with attending school, then being homeschooled, and then going from sheltered to totally new experience of college. I began at Visalia Christian Academy's preschool, where my grandmother actually taught. I still have fond memories of being in her preschool class. There were pros, like getting extra snacks, but there were also cons, like being expected to be the best preschool student, whatever that is. I even went to kindergarten at VCA and had an amazing first grade teacher. I excelled and loved to learn reading and writing, as well as making friends. I didn't know it then, but this was to be my last experience in a classroom full of students my age for the next 10 years. After my year in kindergarten, my parents decided to homeschool my brother and I. As a child, I did not understand why or what exactly was happening. I remember my mom making us still get up at 7 and get ready for school. We would sit down at the kitchen table and begin doing our schoolwork. She would teach us the lessons, give us the assignments, and give us tests. We followed the same curriculum that the private school VCA was using, and we were under the blanket of their private school. There were pros and cons to this, but overall, I think that it was a positive experience in my life and education. I still had friends. I still got to do fun things with my friends. We went to parks, we went bowling, and we had sleepovers. Even though I had these friends, homeschooling saved me the heartache, peer pressure, and harsh realities that most students face going through the public schools. You could say that I was sheltered, and I definitely was. I believe that it made me the driven, motivated, and strong person that I am today. I was allowed to become who I wished to be without the peer pressure from school systems. I was given opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I had been attending a public school. We usually finished all of our schoolwork by noon. We didn't take recess or lunch breaks. We just moved from one subject to the next. My mom had lesson plans and teaching manuals, and I remember her planning long after my brother and I were done with our work. By finishing earlier, we were able to do more than most students might have been able to. When I reached high school, about 14 years old, I began taking some classes through the bridge program at the College of the Sequoias. The professors told me there that I was lucky, that students wouldn't be able to get it approved to take classes. Most students wouldn't. I took classes and was able to explore options for free without the effects that college students faced, other than grades, of course. I met some amazing people at the COS Ag Farm who encouraged me, through these classes, to finish high school as quickly as I could and begin college. My love for learning really began when I took those classes at COS in high school, and I give a lot of credit to them. I began to see a whole new world opening up and realized that I had so many options to explore as soon as I graduated. 2 years later, at the age of 16, I took the California High School Proficiency Exam. I passed with a high score and graduated high school. In the eyes of the state, I was proficient in what most high school students had learned. I went straight into COS as a full-time student, an athlete on the COS equestrian team, and officers in a few clubs. I knew that I wanted to major in English and be a teacher in the future, although at that point in time it was not really a passion. I wanted to be as busy as possible, as active in as many things as I could, and I had problems balancing school and the activities that I had started. I never let my grades stop, but I was exhausted constantly and never had any time for anything other than school and all my activities. I had practices for the COS equestrian team 4 times a week, and they were exhausting. I rode horses for 2 hours during those practices, working as hard as I could to become the best rider on the team. We had competitions on the weekends, which, due to my strong competitive streak, would wear me out. I was also the president of the Equine Club, which required me to run monthly meetings, organize fundraisers, and events for the club to attend. I was vice president of the shooting club, which did not require as much, but I still had to help with their fundraisers and events. On top of my extracurricular activities, I took 18 to 21 units a semester and maintained pretty much straight A's. As a motivated student, and I credit my ability to handle the schoolwork to being homeschooled, I had developed strong study habits, and the self-motivation that it takes in college to do the homework. And I do credit it all to being homeschooled. After my first year of college, I got a job as a sales associate for a locally owned Western wear store. I was part-time, and my boss worked around my schedule. I also worked for the COS Writing Center, which was an excellent experience. It was around this time that I began to feel the toll of work and school and so many activities that were taking on my life. I began to put less effort towards some of them, and finally, when I transferred to Fresno State, I didn't join anything. I focused only on work and school. Spreading myself so thin had burned me out, but I knew that I had to just focus on the important things, especially school. And that's what I did. I went to work, and I went to class. I did homework, and I hung out with friends occasionally. I went to work and school again. I did homework again. It wasn't until my second year at Fresno State, my last year for my bachelor's degree, did I begin to commit myself to activities again. I realized that my educational career might have been a little bit different than most, but I think that all students struggle with similar things. At some point in time, a student is going to burn out or overcommit themselves. It is figuring out how to work through that is key or important. For me, it was only focusing on 2 things and saying no to the rest of the world. I created a bubble, and I was finally able to come out of it. Now I know how much I can handle and how much I can't. At some point in life, everyone has to figure that out. I've watched family and friends go through it, and it can be hard. The important thing is not to lose sight of what is important. I didn't, and now I am graduating and entering the career that I have always wanted.